Stop whatever else you are doing and listen. I do not mean for you to simply hear these words as background noise. I do not mean for you to absorb them casually, with a mind divided, while your attention is scattered across a dozen other tasks. That is not listening. That is drifting, and it is the very habit of the drifter that we are here today to permanently destroy. I demand that you listen as if your future depends on it, because I tell you, in all seriousness, it does. Your future is not a vague, undefined fog of time that you simply hope to arrive at. Your future is a structure. It is an edifice. It is an architecture that must be built, stone by stone, decision by decision. And the foundation of that entire structure, the bedrock upon which your empire will either stand or crumble, is the belief you hold in yourself. What you are listening to now is not a speech. It is the blueprint for that foundation. To listen casually is to pour sand and water for the cornerstone of your life's work. But to listen with consecrated, controlled attention, that is to pour the reinforced steel and concrete that will hold your destiny secure against any storm. If you will hear this message, from this first minute to the very last, without drifting, and if you will permit these words to strike the deepest chambers of your soul, you will walk away from this experience believing in yourself in a way that no man, no failure, and no critic could ever again undo. This is not a promise of temporary inspiration. Inspiration is a spark. It is a flash of light in the darkness that feels good for a moment and then dies, leaving you colder than before. This is not inspiration. This is instruction. This is not a warm blanket of comfort for the man who seeks to remain as he is. This is a forge. This is fire. This is for the man or woman who knows, deep in their bones, that there is something greater inside of them, but they have forgotten how to reach it. This is for the individual who has felt the dull ache of unfulfilled purpose. This is for the one who has followed all the rules of the world, only to find that the world's rewards are hollow. This is for the person who feels buried under the expectations, the labels, and the fears of other people, buried under the rubble of their own past failures. You are not broken. You are buried. And this message is the shovel. This is for the sleeping giant within you, and I am here to command it to awaken. If you will listen, if you will absorb what I am about to teach you, your belief in yourself will no longer tremble. It will roar. You will not simply feel better for an hour. You will become better. You will not walk away with a pleasant thought. You will walk away with a decision. You will speak with a faith that silences doubt. You will act with a certainty that commands results. And you will never again seek the world's permission to move, to build, or to become. You will have that permission within yourself, fully, completely, and permanently. This is not philosophy. It is law. The principles you are about to learn are as immutable as the law of gravity. Gravity does not care if you are a good person or a bad person. It does not care if you are optimistic or pessimistic. If you step off a building, you will fall. It is a law. In the same way, the laws of success and achievement do not care about your excuses. They do not care about your background. They respond only to one thing, a definite purpose, backed by a burning desire, reinforced by absolute faith, and executed with persistent, intelligent action. This speech is the technical manual for the application of that law. And mark my words, by the time this message ends, you will not only believe in yourself again, you will wonder how you ever doubted. You will look back at the man or woman you were this morning, the one who was swayed by fear, the one who hesitated, the one who listened to the crowd, and you will not recognize that person. Why can I make such a claim? Because doubt is not your natural state. You were not born with doubt. You were taught it. You were infected with it by a world that profits from your hesitation. Doubt is a parasite that has fed on your potential. Belief, true belief, is not something you must invent. It is something you must reclaim. It is the restoration of the power you were born with. This message is not an addition. It is an excavation. We are here to uncover the giant that the world tried to bury. So much so that I warn you, this is not a message to be heard only once. You may find yourself returning to this very message day after day, week after week. Not because you are weak, but because you are in training. You will return to it because the world will not stop testing you. The moment you finish this message, the world will rush back in. The noise will return. The doubts will knock at your door. The critics will resume their chatter. This message will become your fortress. It will be your training ground. It will be the voice of your own higher self, reminding you of the truth when the illusions of fear and failure try to reclaim your mind. You will use these words as a weapon. You will use them as a shield. You will use them as the hammer and chisel by which you sculpt your new identity. The power within this message will not fade. It will unlock something inside you, and you will return to that feeling of power again and again, until that feeling becomes your permanent state of being. So, do not stop. Do not drift. Do not multitask. To multitask while listening to this is to practice the very habit of a divided mind that guarantees failure. It is to tell your subconscious mind that this is not important. It is to attempt to build a skyscraper while simultaneously planning its demolition. It is an act of self-sabotage. You must make a decision, right now, that for the duration of this message, your attention is sacred. That this moment belongs to you and to your future self. Give this the attention you would give to a map showing you the only way out of a burning building. Give this the focus you would give to the reading of a will that named you the inheritor of a vast fortune. Because the fortune I am offering is infinitely greater. It is the fortune of self-mastery. It is the power to write your own will, to define your own inheritance. Listen with the same attention you would give to your future self, standing before you, having already achieved every goal you ever set. Imagine that future self, powerful, serene, and certain, looking you in the eyes and showing you the way to the life you know you were meant to build. That is who you will hear now. You will not hear the voice of a stranger. You will hear the voice of your own conviction. You will hear the voice of your own definite purpose. You will hear the voice of that part of you that has never doubted, that has never wavered, that has always known you were made for more. This voice is the voice of infinite intelligence, and it has been waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear its instruction. Today, you have chosen silence. Today, you have chosen focus. Today, you have chosen to listen. And if you listen until the end, if you truly absorb the architecture of these principles, you will never go back to the man you were before this speech began. That man of hesitation, that man who waits for permission, that man who is a servant to his circumstances instead of the master of his destiny. That man will cease to exist. In his place will rise the architect, the builder, the commander of his own mind and the director of his own life. This entire speech is a journey through the 8 pillars of this new identity. We will begin by identifying the enemy. We will confront the confusion of the world and teach you how to build a fortress of mental clarity. This is the first step. You must silence the world so you can hear yourself think. Then, we will shatter the most dangerous lie ever told. The lie that you must wait for a rescue. I will show you, with absolute certainty, that you are, and always have been, your own rescuer. We will awaken the principle of personal initiative. From there, we will tackle the very mechanism of creation, the law of faith. You will learn why your faith must be greater than your doubt, and I will give you the precise, scientific method for building that faith from a mere spark into an unstoppable bonfire. This is the method of autosuggestion, the tool that builds empires. We will then move to the environment of the mind. We will silence the noise, not just externally, but internally. You will learn to silence the inner critic, the inner coward, and the inner drifter, and tune your mind to the frequency of the one voice that matters, the voice of infinite intelligence. Once the foundation is cleared, we will begin the rebuilding. We will excavate and restore the powerful. Fearless person you were before the world lied to you and told you to be small. We will rebuild your identity, not from the flawed materials of the world's opinions, but from the indestructible steel of your own purpose. We will then confront your greatest perceived weakness. I will prove to you that you are not weak. You are not lazy. You have simply been distracted. And I will hand you the weapon of controlled attention, the defining characteristic of every great leader, inventor, and titan of industry. Finally, we will connect your mind to the source of all power. We will establish the link between your finite mind and infinite intelligence, turning your thoughts from mere wishes into creative, transmuting forces. And in the end, we will cement it all. We will forge the new identity, an identity built not on permission, but on purpose, an identity constructed by you, defined by you, and therefore, an identity that the world cannot break. This is the journey before you. It is not a passive lecture. It is an active process of transformation. The act of listening, truly listening, is your first and most important act of obedience to your new self. The life you desire will not come to you by chance. It will not come to you by hope. It will not be delivered to you by another. It must be built. It must be commanded. It must be earned through the disciplined application of mental law. The work is hard. It requires you to challenge every limiting belief you have ever accepted. It requires you to take full, 100% responsibility for your life, with no excuses. It requires you to become a different person at a cellular level. Most will not pay this price. They will hear the first few minutes, feel a flicker of inspiration, and then drift away, back to the noise, back to the comfort of their excuses. They will choose the warm blanket of mediocrity over the forge of greatness. But you will not. You are still here. You are still listening. The fact that you have come this far is the evidence, the proof, that the sleeping giant inside you is stirring. It has heard the call. Do not disappoint it. Take a deep breath. Settle your mind. Close the other tabs. Put your phone on silent and turn it face down. Give your future the respect it deserves. The old world of your doubts and fears is about to die, and the new world, built by your belief, is waiting to be born. Let us begin. If you have ever wondered why success seems to elude you, I shall tell you plainly. It is not because the world is against you. It is not because you lack talent, or education, or opportunity. It is because you have permitted the world to think for you. And I say this not in anger, but in solemn warning. The world will not believe in you until you believe in yourself. This is the eternal, unchangeable law, faith in oneself. A faith that is definite, a faith that is rooted in purpose, must come first. No external voice, no committee, no earthly authority can grant you permission to rise. That permission is an inside job. It is a declaration of your own mental sovereignty. You must claim the throne of your own mind, and you must claim it now. For the world is not your compass. It is your confusion. It shouts 1,000 directions at once. It tells you to wait, to conform, to stay safe. It presents 1,000,000 distractions disguised as opportunities. It begs for your attention only to splinter it into useless fragments. The world ridicules the bold and flatters the timid. It honors the man who obeys the established order, and it mocks the one who dares to establish his own. And if you listen too long to that chorus of confusion, you will no longer hear your own voice. You will no longer remember your own definite aim. You will, without knowing it, begin to drift. From the moment you were born, the voices began their work. Voices that said what was possible, and more often, what was impossible. Voices that told you what was smart, and what was foolish. Well-meaning voices from family, from teachers, from society, all projecting their own fears and limitations onto you. They built fences around your mind, not to keep you safe, but to keep you contained. They did not know you. They did not see the burning desire in your heart, nor the specific vision of the destiny planted deep within your soul by infinite intelligence. And so I ask you, why do you continue to listen? Why do you obey voices that never understood your purpose to begin with? You must understand this fundamental truth. The majority is never the author of greatness. Conformity builds comfort, but it does not build kingdoms. The crowd, by its very nature, seeks the average, the path of least resistance. The crowd builds fences, not fortunes. If you follow the thinking of the world, you will produce the results of the world: average, ordinary, uncertain, and bound by a fear you cannot even name. You must rise above it. You must make the deliberate choice to think independently. You were born with a mind of your own, a tool of infinite power, and in that mind lives the ability to connect with the very source of all creation. In that mind lives power the world cannot see and does not want you to discover. But you must choose to claim it. You must choose to become the master of that mind, rather than remain its servant, or worse, the servant of other people's minds. You become what you believe. You become what you repeat. Your dominant thoughts, the thoughts you hold, water, and emotionally charge, when mixed with unwavering belief and feeling, become the physical reality of your life. This is not a pleasant philosophy. This is law. It is the physics of the mind. It is the foundation of all riches, all success, all greatness. If your belief is weak, your results will shrink to meet it. If your thoughts are cloudy, your life will reflect the fog. If your faith wavers, your steps will hesitate. And if your actions are driven by the voices of others, then your destiny belongs to them, not to you. The man who does not own his mind owns nothing, even if he holds title to the entire world. The man who becomes great, the man who builds an empire or changes the world, becomes deaf to the world, not to ignore wisdom, but to protect his power. He chooses his influences as a jeweler chooses diamonds, accepting only that which is flawless and aligned with his purpose. He guards his attention as a king guards his crown, for he knows that where his attention goes, his power flows. He speaks only of what he intends to build, and he listens only to that which strengthens his belief. He does not share his grand plans with doubters, nor does he confess his fears to cowards. He understands that to do so is to plant weeds in his own garden. He has built a fortress of silence around his definite aim. The world will offer you every excuse to remain small. It will say, "Be realistic." This is the most dangerous phrase in any language. It is the anthem of the mediocre. It is the justification for a life unlived. The world will whisper, "Who are you to believe such things? Who are you to desire so much? Who are you to challenge the way things are?" And if you answer that voice, if you stop to debate it, if you begin to entertain its logic, you will sink into mediocrity without even knowing you have left the shore. The drift happens silently. It is not a sudden catastrophe. It is a slow, quiet surrender of your will. It is the choice to listen to the crowd, just for today. It is the choice to put your definite aim aside, just for this one urgent task. It is the choice to let the noise of the world drown out the whisper of your own soul. And this drift, this mental vagrancy, is the single greatest cause of all failure. But the awakening, the return to power, must be deliberate. It must be a conscious act of will. You must now make a decision, right now, in this moment. Will you continue to listen to the crowd? The chorus of confusion that has given you the exact life you have now? Or will you listen to the command within, that still, divine, quiet voice inside you that says, you were made for more, the voice that instructs you to rise, to act, to believe? That voice is the voice of infinite intelligence. It is the voice of truth, and it speaks not in noise, but in stillness. If you would hear it, You must silence the world. Every day you live without definite, unwavering belief in yourself is a day you borrow from the future you could have owned. Every moment you spend chasing the world's approval is a step away from your own greatness, but you can return. You can reclaim the throne of your mind. And once you do, once you truly own the mental real estate between your ears, no man, no force, no failure can unseat you again. Say aloud now, I do not need permission to believe in myself. Speak it with force. Speak it until your chest rises. Speak it until you remember who you are. For belief is not a passive emotion. It is a spiritual declaration. It is a command you give to your subconscious mind. When you believe in yourself, the world adjusts. Doors open that were invisible. Paths appear where there were walls. Power awakens within you that you never knew you possessed. The world bows, not to arrogance, not to volume, but to the one who walks in quiet certainty. Let the others wait. Let the others discuss, compare, criticize, and fear. You are not here to join their confusion. You are here to build. You are here to command. You are here to act. Your belief must be so strong that even silence bends to your presence. You must be so clear in your mind that no outside voice, no temporary setback, no headline of doom can shake your course. This is the discipline of all successful men. Think now of Charles M. Schwab. He was once a mere clerk in a steel mill, earning $1 a day. He did not rise to become one of the highest paid executives in the world because of his credentials, or his age, or his family connections. He had none of these. He rose because he believed he could lead men, and he acted accordingly. His clarity of mind, his decisiveness, his unshakable self-confidence. These were the assets that made him powerful in a world that doubted youth and experience. Andrew Carnegie, my own mentor, did not pay Schwab $1 million a year salary because Schwab knew the most about steel. Carnegie had men who knew more about the technical processes of steel than Schwab did. He paid Schwab that fortune for his ability to inspire, to lead, and to extract the very best from other men. And where did that ability come from? It came from Schwab's absolute, unshakable belief in himself and in his purpose. He did not wait to be chosen. He did not wait for Mr. Carnegie to notice him. He chose himself first. He acted the part of the leader long before he had the title. He made himself through his own mental attitude, the one indispensable man. You must now do the same. You must choose yourself. Choose to believe, even while the world sleeps on your potential. Choose to walk forward, even while others stall in the harbor of indecision. Choose to think your own thoughts, even while you are surrounded by the deafening noise of public opinion. Your clarity will become your power. Your belief will become your foundation. And your mind, once you have fully claimed it, will build you a life that others can only dream of. Say this now. I will become what I decide to believe. Write this sentence down. Repeat it. Say it in the morning when you rise, to set the compass for your day. Say it at night when doubt returns, to cleanse your mind for sleep. Say it when the world speaks its fear. Say it until you remember who you are. This is how belief is built, not by chance, but by deliberate, conscious choice. It is reinforced daily, moment by moment, until it becomes an unbreakable, impenetrable fortress. The world will always have something to say. It will always have doubt to offer. It will always have fear to whisper. It will always have rules to impose. But you do not owe the world your obedience. You owe yourself your greatness, and that greatness begins today with a single, resolute decision. To believe in yourself with total commitment, total clarity, and total defiance of all outside contradiction. From this moment forward, let your own thoughts be your compass. Let your own vision be your map. Let your own belief be your armor. Walk as if what you seek is already yours. Speak as if the future has already bowed to your will. Think as if no failure could ever hold you. The world will not give you faith. But once you possess it, the world can never, ever take it away from you. Now, let us begin the rebuilding of that belief. Let us drive out every voice that does not serve your vision. Let us establish, in the firm stone of your subconscious mind, the truth of who you are. A man of decision, a man of belief, a man of power, and a man of definite purpose. You are not confused. You are simply untrained. And today, that training has begun. Let us move forward. If you are still waiting, if you are still looking over your shoulder, hoping that some fortunate event, some twist of fate, or some powerful individual is coming to save you, I must now tell you the truth that will free you forever. No one is coming, not your family, who may love you but are bound by their own fears, not your friends, who have their own battles to fight, not your country, which is a collection of other individuals all seeking their own way, and certainly not fate, which is a word used by weak men to describe the results of strong men's actions. You must rise under your own power, guided by your own thought, driven by your own decision. The moment you stop hoping for a rescue, you will discover that you were the rescuer all along. You have been waiting for a savior, when all this time you possessed the very power of salvation within your own mind. There is a dangerous belief, a mental poison, that has kept millions in poverty, both material and spiritual. It is the belief that someone or something else will fix their lives. They wait for fortune. They wait for opportunity. They wait for recognition. They wait for their chance. But chance is not a law of the universe. It is an illusion. You cannot build a life of success, wealth, and power on what you hope might come. You must build it on what you command to come. I remind you, as I did in our last meeting, that you have a brain and a mind of your own. You have achieved the mental clarity to silence the world's confusion. Now, you must use that clear mind. You must use it and reach your own decisions. This is not a suggestion. This is an instruction. If you do not begin to think independently and act on those thoughts, life will think for you, and life, left untrained and undirected, will not build you an empire. It will bury you beneath the routines, the comforts, and the fears of weaker men. This is the essence of what I call personal initiative. It is the attribute that separates the leader from the follower, the master from the servant. It is the inner dynamo that, once activated, provides the momentum that no external force can stop. You may have been taught that hard work is the secret. That effort alone is the answer. But this is a hazardous half-truth. I tell you that hard work without definite thought is slavery. It is motion without direction. It is activity without power. You see it everywhere. Men and women laboring day after day, year after year, growing more tired but no richer, because they are not directing their labor. They are merely serving the labor. You must not merely labor. You must direct your labor with a definite purpose. You must become the commander, not the servant, and the mind that does not direct itself, the mind that waits to be told, becomes a tool in the hands of circumstances, or worse, in the hands of other men who are doing their own directing. Do not mistake activity for power. Do not mistake motion for direction. And above all, do not mistake dependency for loyalty. Many wait for the world to tell them when they are ready. They wait for a diploma, a title, a promotion, or a word of applause. They wait for permission, but the world only applauds the man who acts without waiting for applause. The world follows, steps aside for, and ultimately pays the one who walks without a master, the one who is self-propelled. There is a hidden weakness in this act of hoping for help. It disguises itself as optimism or as patience, but it is truly a form of mental laziness. It is an abdication of your own power. It is a statement to your subconscious mind that you are incomplete, that you are not enough, that you require an external piece to be made whole. It says, someone else will come along. Someone else will see my value. Someone will carry me forward. But no one can carry your desire. No one can think your thoughts. No one can forge your identity. That is your responsibility. And I tell you, it is your greatest privilege. You must now turn inward. You must look not to the hands that may or may not lift you, but to your own soul, which was born to rise. What you need is not more support from the outside. What you need is a moment of absolute self-command on the inside. One single decision, made in full belief and born of your own mental clarity, is more powerful than 1,000 voices of encouragement. You may say, but I have failed before. I have tried, and I have fallen. I say to you, so did Abraham Lincoln. Look at the record of that man. He failed in business. He lost elections again and again. He suffered personal loss that would have broken a lesser man. He was ridiculed, mocked, and told he was unfit. By every measure of the world's confusion we spoke of, Lincoln was a failure, but he did not look for a rescue. He did not wait for the world to confirm his worth. He decided, within his own mind, that he would leave his mark on history, that he would preserve the Union, and he walked toward that decision through every storm, through every defeat, through every heartbreak. His strength was not his unbroken string of successes. His strength was his refusal to surrender the responsibility for his future. Lincoln did not possess more advantages than his rivals. He possessed more resolve. He was his own rescuer. And you have this power, too. You have it this very second. It will awaken if you will stop waiting and start declaring. You must say, I am my own rescue. I carry the power to rise. Say it when you feel weak. Say it when the world ignores you. Say it in the quiet of the morning when you are planning your day. Say it in the of night when the failures of the past return to haunt you. Say it until your subconscious mind, that fertile garden, accepts it as law. You must stop asking the world, who will help me? And begin asking yourself, who must I become? For when you become the man who commands his world, the world will respond accordingly. The universe is not a chaotic mess of chance. It is a universe of law and order. It does not favor victims. It favors creators. And you create nothing by pleading. You create nothing by waiting. You create by believing, by deciding, and by initiating action. Now, let us be perfectly clear. There is no shame in having stumbled. There is no disgrace in being, at this moment, in a position you do not desire. The shame lies only in refusing to stand up. The disgrace lies only in accepting your current circumstances as your final destiny. If you are still breathing, you are still building. If you are still listening to this message, you are still chosen for greatness. But you must now act as such. You must conduct yourself not as one who waits for a handout, but as one who walks with the full authority of a man on a mission. Every day you wait for someone else to change your life. You delay the life that could already be yours. You forfeit your crown to fear. You postpone your own destiny. But the moment you claim full and complete responsibility for every aspect of your life, a new force begins to move within you. It is called initiative, and it is the spark that ignites greatness. This is not theory. This is the very principle by which empires are built. Think of Andrew Carnegie, a boy who came to this country with nothing. No wealth, no connections, no advantage. He was a bobbin boy in a cotton mill. What rescuer was coming for him? None. But he had an idea. He had a definite chief aim. He believed he could rise through his own thought and his own initiative. He did not wait to be rescued. He became the rescuer. He made himself so useful, so proactive, so willing to do more than he was paid for, that he became indispensable. He rescued himself from poverty. He rescued himself from obscurity. And in doing so, he built an empire and rescued thousands of others, creating more millionaires than any other man of his time. The world adjusted to match his belief. because his belief was backed by his own relentless initiative. Let that be you. From this day forward, reject the waiting. Reject the hoping. Reject the idea that your success lies in any hand but your own. Say with me now. I do not expect. I decide. I do not wish. I work. I do not beg. I build. These are the affirmations of a man who is reclaiming his future. These are the declarations of a mind that has taken command. There is no man, no book, no voice, not even mine, that can live your life for you. I can instruct you. I can awaken you. I can hand you the blueprint, but I cannot choose for you. I cannot act for you. That sacred power, the power of personal initiative, belongs only to you. And if you will use it, not tomorrow, not when the conditions feel right, but now, this very moment, then you will feel a strength you had forgotten was possible. You do not need to know every step of the journey. You only need to take the first one in full belief. That first step, that act of initiative, is the signal to the universe that you are no running. That first step aligns all other forces. Then the next step will appear, and the next. This is how the invisible desire, which you clarified in part 1, becomes a visible reality, which you initiate in part 2. It becomes visible through motion, through obedience to purpose, through action that does not ask for rescue but expects results. Let us affirm this truth again, until it becomes a part of your very being. I am my own rescue. You are not lost. You are not hopeless. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are simply standing at the threshold of decision. And once you cross it, once you stop waiting and start acting, once you walk as if your power is real, the world will begin to bend to meet the man you have chosen to become. This is the bridge. The clarity you have built in your mind must now be followed by the initiative of your body. The next part of our journey will be to fuel this initiative, to make it permanent. For this action, this self-rescue, must be powered by a force greater than mere willpower. It must be powered by unshakable faith, and that is where we must go next. We have established the two great pillars. First, the clarity of mind, your fortress against the world's confusion. You have a definite chief aim. Second, the power of personal initiative. You have declared yourself your own rescuer, rejecting the passive hope of the drifter and choosing to act. But action. My friends, action alone is not enough. The initiative you have just claimed is an engine, but an engine without fuel is merely a potential. It is dead weight. Today, we install the power source. Today, we speak of the fuel that ignites all action and makes it creative. We speak of faith. Faith is the cornerstone of all riches, both material and spiritual. Without it, the thought you clarified in part 1 has no power. Without it, the desire in your heart has no direction. Without it, the action you initiated in part 2 has no force. Faith is the fire that turns the invisible blueprint of your vision into the cold, hard steel of visible substance, and if your belief is small, your results will remain small, proportionate to the fuel you have provided. But if you can cultivate even a mustard seed of true faith, pure, burning, and sustained, the world will be forced to yield to you. You were not born with doubt. You were taught it. This is a truth you must accept into the very marrow of your bones. Doubt is not your natural state. Look at a child. A child believes all things are possible until we, the world, begin to poison its mind with our own limitations. You were taught to lower your voice. You were taught to be realistic. You were taught to fear being wrong, to fear the criticism of the crowd. And now I tell you this: doubt is not intelligence. It is a poison. It is a corrosive acid that eats away at the very machinery of success. It paralyzes the will, and worst of all, it disguises itself as caution, as practicality, as intelligence. But the man who doubts is not more intelligent than the man who believes. He is simply more afraid. If you do not burn doubt out of your mind with the same ruthless efficiency, you would burn a plague out of your home. It will burn the bridge to your greatness. So what is this faith that I speak of? Let us be perfectly clear on what it is not. Faith is not passive. Faith is not waiting for a sign. Faith is not hoping that things will work out. Hope is a wish. Hope has no power. Hope is the victim's plea. Faith, however, is a command. Faith is belief with emotion and action fused together. It is a chemical combination, a spiritual alloy. When you act in faith, you are not testing to see if the law works. You are acting because you know the law works. You are telling your subconscious mind, in the only language it understands, this is real. This is who I am. This is what we are doing. There is no other possibility. And the subconscious, that obedient and tireless servant, that sleeping giant, will immediately begin to align your reality to match that belief. I have stated this plainly before, and I will state it again until it is carved into your soul. Faith is the eternal elixir which gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought. Your ideas, your definite chief aim from part 1, mean nothing without faith behind them. Your goals are only dreams, mere wisps of smoke, until they are infused with the burning conviction of faith. The man who believes halfway receives results halfway. The man who believes 99% will still fail, because that 1% of doubt is the drop of poison that contaminates the entire formula. But the man who walks with full 100% faith, a faith that does not ask if, but only when, that man commands the very forces of nature. Let us look to the man who brought light to the darkness, Thomas Edison. He did not do this merely through invention. He did it through indomitable belief. We are told he failed over 10,000 times. Think of this. Not 10 times, not 100. 10,000 experiments that did not produce the result he sought. The entire world, the experts, the realistic crowd, laughed at him. They called him a fool. They told him to give up. They said it was impossible, but Edison did not seek their faith. He possessed his own. He was deaf to their confusion. As we discussed in part 1, he did not require a rescuer. As we established in part 2, he was fueled by his own conviction. He acted as if the light was already his, and he was simply working out the mechanics of its appearance. And because he refused to entertain doubt, because his faith was greater than the fact of his 10,000 failures, the light became so. Edison did not wonder if the result would come. He decided it must. And that decision, when backed by persistent initiative and fueled by absolute faith, forced the universe to comply. This is the true power of faith. It alters reality, not by magic, but by law. The law that states, whatever you repeat with emotion and believe in your heart, your subconscious mind must accept, and your body and your circumstances must obey. Let me be perfectly clear. You do not need the world to believe in you. You do not need your family to believe in you. You do not need your friends to believe in you. You need only one believer, yourself. And even if you, in this moment, find that your belief is weak, that it wavers, that it is poisoned by a lifetime of doubt, I tell you that you can retrain the mind. You can build this muscle. And the tool by which you build it is the sacred method of autosuggestion. This is no trivial exercise. This is not a child's game of wishing. This is the tool by which empires are built. This is the process of reprogramming the subconscious mind. We have already established your definite chief aim. Now, we will apply the formula to burn that aim into your subconscious. I will give you the 5 steps again, and you must follow them not casually, not vaguely, but with precision, clarity, and conviction. First, fix in your mind the exact thing you desire. Be definite. Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for this thing. There is no such thing as something for nothing. Third, establish a definite date by which you intend to possess it. Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire. And begin at once, whether you feel ready or not, to put this plan into action. This is the initiative from part 2. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement of these 4 points. Now, here is the instruction. This is the mechanism of autosuggestion. Read this written statement aloud. Twice daily, once just after rising in the morning, and once just before retiring at night. Do not whisper it. Do not mumble it. Declare it. Let your own voice carry the tone of certainty. Let your own ears hear your future as if it is already present. As you read, you must see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of your goal. This is the crucial step. You must mix emotion with your words. You must feel the gratitude. You must feel the excitement. You must feel the certainty of its accomplishment. The subconscious mind does not respond to cold words. It responds only to words that are saturated with emotion. Doubt has no answer for a man who repeats faith until it becomes his identity. Say with me now, I speak belief into my soul. Say it again. I repeat until my mind obeys. This is not blind affirmation. It is spiritual law. The mind becomes what it hears most. And if you are not deliberately, systematically feeding it faith, the world will, by default, feed it fear. Do not think for a single moment that great men never doubted. Do not believe the lie that they were born with a courage you do not possess. They simply refuse to let doubt speak louder than belief. When Carnegie built an empire, when Ford revolutionized transportation, when Lincoln held a divided nation together, they did so not with perfect, cloudless conditions, but with perfect, unwavering resolve. They believed when it was hardest. They spoke their faith to themselves when the world screamed failure. Your faith must be greater than your fear. Your faith must be greater than your failures. And I tell you, your faith must be greater than your facts. The facts are merely a temporary arrangement of reality based on past thinking. The facts are the world's evidence. Faith is your evidence. The fact may say you are broke, but faith says you are building. The fact may say you are unqualified, but faith says you are becoming. The fact may say you are unknown, but faith says you are a voice the world is preparing to hear. And the man who believes in spite of all contradiction will rise above the facts to create new ones. I command you now, let faith rise. Let it speak louder than your excuses. Let it stand taller than your past. Let it drown the voice of hesitation. Let it burn hotter than your doubts. Faith is not what you feel. It is what you choose. It is a decision. It is a discipline. And every time you choose to believe, in thought, in word, and in the action you take, your reality bends a little more to meet your conviction. Repeat after me. I walk in belief. I act with conviction. I speak as if it is already so. These are not slogans. These are instructions to your subconscious. These are the blueprints of your becoming. When you speak them enough, they will become natural. And when they become natural, they will become your results. There is no failure greater than the man who gave up one repetition too soon. There is no tragedy more common than the man who let doubt win the war before the first true battle. But that will not be you. Not now. Not after this day. Because now you know that belief is a decision, and repetition is the weapon that makes it permanent. Edison had no candle brighter than yours. Ford had no mind stronger than yours. Lincoln had no heart braver than yours. What they had was this, and you must acquire it: a decision to believe, and a refusal to let the world's voice override their own. That, my friend, is what you now possess the formula for. So, I charge you with this. Take your definite chief aim, your written statement, and treat it with the honor it deserves. It is the charter of your new life. Stand in front of your mirror, morning and night, and read it as if your future depends on it. Because it does. Read it with faith. Read it with feeling. Read it until it burns. Read it until your very body begins to move in its direction without question. without hesitation. Do not expect an instant fire. Expect sparks. And your job is to protect those sparks. Feed them with repetition. Feed them with vision. Feed them with relentless, daily, persistent obedience to your plan. Until one day, without warning, your mind catches flame and you become an unstoppable, creative force. Now let us affirm once more. I speak belief into my soul. I repeat until my mind obeys. Say it loud. Say it with breath. Say it with life. Say it until the very air around you begins to change. Because it will. The moment you truly believe, your reality begins to reassemble. Your faith must be greater than your doubt. And now, you have the tool to make it so. This faith is the power, but this power must be protected. It must be practiced in a controlled environment. You cannot practice this faith while listening to the world's confusion. Therefore, our next step is to build the sanctuary for this faith. We must learn to silence the noise. This faith is the power, but this power must be protected. It must be practiced in a controlled environment. You cannot practice this faith while listening to the world's confusion. We have reached a critical point in our instruction. You have laid the foundation and manufactured the fuel. Before we build the sanctuary for this faith, you must make a decision. This channel is not for the idly curious. It is a dedicated mastermind for those who are serious about this work. If you are one of them, if you are committed to this architecture of belief, take 1 second now and subscribe. Join this community of architects. It is your first public act of commitment to this new identity. Now, let us build the sanctuary. The world is loud, but wisdom is quiet. Truth is never found in the shouting of crowds, nor in the frantic flood of 1,000 opinions. It is found in stillness. It is found in discipline. It is found in the sacred solitude of a mind that has taken command of itself. And I tell you this because most men fail, not from a lack of ability, not from a lack of desire, but because they cannot hear themselves think. Their minds are filled with voices, but none of them are their own. They are a chaotic echo chamber of their parents' fears, their teachers' limitations, their critics' doubts, and the day's trivial emergencies. You cannot build greatness on noise. You cannot create wealth on confusion. You cannot rise while your mind is a battlefield for every stray opinion around you. The man who listens to all will obey none, least of all himself, and the man who cannot obey his own chosen purpose cannot lead. If you would lead your life, you must first lead your mind, and to lead your mind, you must silence everything else. This is the great separation. In part 1, you built your fortress of clarity and defined your definite chief aim. In part 2, you declared your self-rescue, igniting the engine of personal initiative. In part 3, you supplied the fuel, the burning, non-negotiable power of faith. But now, in this moment, we must build the sanctuary. We must build the protected, soundproof chamber where that faith can be cultivated and where the plans for that initiative can be drawn, free from the world's contamination. Do you know why most people never discover who they are or what they are capable of? Because they never truly listen. They speak. They absorb noise. They parrot the world's thoughts. They mistake the endless consumption of information for wisdom, but they never stop. They never question. They never get quiet enough to hear the one voice that matters, the voice of their own other self, the voice aligned with purpose, fed by faith, and guided by infinite intelligence. You have heard me speak of this. Infinite intelligence is not some distant, mystical power. It is the source of all right ideas, all perfect plans, all creative solutions. It is the unseen partner in all great achievements. And it does not scream. It does not force itself upon you. It whispers, and it only whispers to the prepared mind, the still mind, the focused mind. Your mind, in this moment, is like a powerful radio receiver. Infinite intelligence is broadcasting the solution to your every problem, the next logical step toward your definite aim, 24 hours a day. But the world is also broadcasting. It is broadcasting on every channel, with maximum volume. It broadcasts static, fear, doubt, urgency, and distraction. And most men live their entire lives with the volume of the static turned up so high. They do not even know there is another broadcast. They think the static is the only reality. The act of strategic silence is the act of deliberately, willfully, turning down the volume of the world so that you can finally tune your receiver to the clear, quiet frequency of infinite intelligence. Understand this. Your subconscious mind, as we discussed, is like fertile soil. It grows what is planted in it. It is always listening, always accepting. But if you allow noise, fear, and the unfiltered opinions of others to be planted in it, then chaos, confusion, and failure will grow in place of purpose. You must protect that soil. You must guard the gates of your mind with fierce, ruthless attention. This is why I teach the principle of controlled attention. It is not just a matter of focus, like a student studying for a test. It is a matter of spiritual survival. In every moment, you are either building your belief or you are borrowing fear. You are either directing your mind or you are letting the world do it for you. And every hour you fail to protect your thoughts, every hour you spend aimlessly consuming the world's noise, is an hour you train your mind to drift. Drifting is the greatest enemy of success. I said it plainly in my work, Outwitting the Devil. The drifter is not an evil man. He is simply an undirected man. And the man who is undirected, the man whose mind is open to every suggestion, becomes easy prey. He is prey to every influence, every trend, every fearmonger, every lie. He lives in reaction. He is a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the waves of circumstance. He loses his voice. He becomes a slave to the loudest message in the room. But that will not be you, because now you will choose silence, not the empty silence of weakness or isolation. You will choose strategic silence. You will choose focused solitude. You will choose disciplined reflection. This is not an act of withdrawal from the world. It is an act of preparation to master the world. Every day, you must carve out time to sit alone with your thoughts. No noise, no input, no distractions. Only your desire, your definite chief aim, and your belief. When you do this, you begin to awaken the voice within. At first, it will be quiet, hard to distinguish from the fading echoes of the world's noise. But as you practice this discipline, that voice of truth will grow stronger, and that voice, once it becomes strong, will drown out the world without ever needing to raise its tone. It will say, "This is who you are." It will say, "This is where you are going." It will say, "This is what must be done next." And when that inner voice becomes the only one you obey, success becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Let us affirm this together, calmly, with certainty. I do not drift. I listen to the voice within. Speak it clearly. Let the world fade for a moment. Let the noise fall to the floor. In this silence, you reclaim your power. In this stillness, you become more than a man. You become a builder of destiny. Think now of the men who lived this way. Think of Andrew Carnegie. He did not build the greatest steel empire in history by attending to every shouting voice. He built it by retreating into the silence of his own mind, by protecting his thoughts, and by listening to the plans that formed there. Think of Henry Ford, who visualized cars on every street long before the world believed it possible. He was called a fool, a fanatic. He was surrounded by the noise of doubt, but he protected his vision in the sanctuary of his own silent, controlled attention. He listened to the plan, not the crowd. These men protected their thoughts like a king protects his heir. You must do the same. So, let me give you the discipline. Let me give you the practical application of this law. Every morning, before the world can touch you, before you look at a phone, before you read the news, you will sit in silence. For 10 minutes, for 20, for 30, you will read your definite chief aim aloud. To remind your mind of its orders, you will close your eyes. You will visualize its completion, as we discussed in the law of faith, and then you will listen. You will not beg. You will not plead. You will ask, with quiet confidence, infinite intelligence, what must I become today to move toward this aim? What is my next logical step? And then you will be still. You will listen, not with your ears, but with your awareness. An idea will come, a hunch, a creative plan, a sudden, clear, simple solution to a problem that seemed impossible yesterday. That is your answer. That is the voice. Your job is to then take that idea and apply your personal initiative to it. Immediately. Do this without fail for 30 days. And I promise you, you will feel the noise of the world weaken. You will feel your own thoughts rise in authority. You will begin to sense that you are no longer following the world. The world is beginning to follow you. This is not arrogance. This is the natural effect of mental discipline. Say it again. I do not drift. I listen to the voice within. Say it every time doubt rises. Say it when you feel overwhelmed. Say it when others speak louder than you. Because when you say it enough, it becomes true. The subconscious mind, as you know, does not judge. It obeys, and it will follow whatever command is repeated most. With the most faith, there is wisdom in the silence. There is strength in stillness. There is pure gold in your own mind. But you will not mine it if you never stop moving, if you never stop talking, if you never stop consuming, if you do not listen. You cannot lead. If you do not hear your own soul, how will you command others to follow? How will you build? How will you remain firm when the storms of life come, as they surely will? It is easy to be distracted. It is easy to consume. It is easy to let the world fill your mind. But that ease has a cost. And the cost is your vision. The cost is your identity. The cost is your power. But silence, though it may feel difficult at first, has a reward. And that reward is self-mastery. That reward is clarity. That reward is the unmistakable voice of infinite intelligence itself. Repeat this affirmation with me now. In silence, I grow stronger. In stillness, I receive instruction. In obedience to purpose, I act. This is your daily reminder. You do not need the noise to build your future. You only need belief, vision, repetition, and the discipline of thought. From this point forward, let others chase opinions. Let others seek attention. Let others fill their minds with the clutter and static of the unthinking world. You will rise in silence. You will walk with purpose. You will listen only to the voice that speaks truth, not noise. And in doing so, you will become a man the world cannot ignore. A man who moves with a quiet power that is irresistible. You have cleared the land. You have laid the foundation. You have fueled the engine. And now you have built the sanctuary. Now, and only now, are you ready for the great work? The rebuilding of the man you were meant to be? Let us go forward. We have come to the heart of the matter. We have done the foundational work. In part 1, you learned to silence the world's confusion and establish the clarity of a definite chief aim. In part 2, you shattered the illusion of the external savior and claimed the power of personal initiative, declaring yourself your own rescue. In part 3, you learned to manufacture the fuel for that initiative, the burning, scientific power of faith through autosuggestion. And in part 4, you built the sanctuary. You learned to command the strategic silence, to tune out the static of the world and listen to the clear, guiding whisper of infinite intelligence. You have cleared the land. You have laid the foundation. You have secured the fuel. You have built the fortress of quiet. Now, the true work begins. Now, we begin the great construction. We will now, brick by brick, decision by decision, rebuild the person you were before the world lied to you. There was a time, long ago, when you knew who you were, before the failures, before the ridicule, before the chorus of voices told you to be smaller, quieter, more realistic, before the world took its brush and painted over your magnificent blueprint with its own dull, gray colors of fear and limitation. When you were a child, you dreamed without shame. You imagined boldly. You believed, with a pure and terrible certainty, that what you desired, you could achieve. You had not yet learned the meaning of the word impossible. You were a giant. And then, slowly, without announcement, the world began its campaign. The world lied to you. It told you that you were not smart enough. It told you that you were not experienced enough, or strong enough, or good enough. It told you that your past failures were a permanent brand on your soul. It told you that the circumstances of your birth defined the boundaries of your life. It told you to stop dreaming and to accept the average. And like so many others, you listened. You believed the lie. The giant fell asleep, but I have come to you today. In this sanctuary of silence we have built to tell you the truth. The world was wrong. You are not limited. You are not unworthy. You are not too late. You are only untrained in the use of your own power. And that training, that reprogramming, begins with this absolute truth. You are the builder of your identity, not the byproduct of your environment. You are the master sculptor of your destiny, not the material waiting to be shaped by others. You were not made to beg for confidence. You were made to command it. You were not created to seek permission to be great. You were created to decide to be great. The blueprint of that greatness is already within you. It was never destroyed. It was only covered up. It must now be uncovered, cleansed of the falsehoods, and reinforced with daily action, thought, and belief. Rebuilding yourself is not a single event. It is a process. It is a daily, hourly, disciplined choice. And that process begins the moment you stop identifying with what others told you. They said you were a failure because your business did not succeed. But that was an event, not an identity. They said you were foolish because your idea was mocked. But that was their opinion, not your blueprint. They saw your past, not your power. They saw your temporary circumstances, not your definite purpose. Their words have no power, unless you grant it to them. Today, you revoked their power. Say it now. I now rebuild the man I was meant to be. Say it until the sound rings true in your own ears. You are not broken. You are buried. Buried under layers of other people's expectations, other people's labels, and other people's fears. And now, by the deliberate application of the laws you have learned, by decision, by effort, by the daily repetition of faith, you shall uncover the gold that was always there. The world lies in layers. Each failure tries to paint you a new identity. Each rejection adds a coat of doubt. Each setback is offered to you as proof that you are not enough. But you must now reject these false conclusions. What happened to you is not who you are. What others believe about you is not your blueprint. You were designed for triumph, and you must now claim the design. I taught the self-confidence formula for this very reason. It is not a poem to be read. It is a set of instructions to be lived. It is the architectural plan for this rebuilding. It begins, as all greatness does, with a decision. It begins with this command to your subconscious mind. I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment. And I here and now promise to render such action. This is how the new self begins. Not by wishing for change, but by demanding action. Not by hoping for confidence, but by promising persistence. Do not wait to feel confident. That is the drifter's mistake. That is waiting for a rescue. Part 2. The builder acts until confidence obeys. Do not wait for self-belief to land on your shoulder like a dove. You must speak it into existence. Part 3. You must, from this moment forward, walk, speak, and move as the man you intend to become, even before you feel like him. Your feelings will follow your actions. Your subconscious mind will accept the posture, the tone, and the decision of this new identity. And by repetition, you will become him. Let us look at the case of F. W. Woolworth. Here was a man who was laughed out of offices, told repeatedly he was foolish, mocked for believing that ordinary men would buy goods at a fixed, low price. His first store failed. His second store failed. By the world's facts, by the world's lies, he was a failure. The world tried to hand him the identity of failed shopkeeper, but he refused to accept it. He believed in himself, in his definite aim, with an unshakable clarity. His identity was not failure. His identity was the man who will make this plan work. He did not borrow belief from the world. He created it through his own faith. Part 3. He rehearsed it in his own mind. Part 4. He lived it through his own initiative. Part 2. And because he acted as the man he had decided to be, the world eventually had to believe as well. And the Woolworth Empire was born. He did not let his temporary reality define his permanent identity. And so must you. Say it again. I now rebuild the man I was meant to be. Not someday. Now, not maybe. Certainly, you are not starting from scratch. You are returning to the truth the world tried to make you forget. And you have the tools. Repetition is your chisel. Vision is your blueprint. Action is your cement. These three, repeated daily, build identity. Let us state this law plainly, so that it may never be forgotten. Repetition plus vision plus action equals identity. Repetition is the act of faith, the auto-suggestion, the daily declaration of your definite chief aim. It is the chisel that chips away the lies. Vision is the act of clarity, the blueprint you protect in the sanctuary of silence. It is the design you are building. Action is the act of self-rescue, the personal initiative that mixes the cement and lays the bricks. If you want to become a new man, you must first speak as him, repetition, then see as him, vision, then move as him, action, and soon the subconscious mind will accept this coordinated performance as natural law. This is not theory. This is law. The subconscious mind does not argue. It does not analyze. It does not question your commands. It accepts whatever is repeated with emotion and decision. If you tell it with conviction that you are weak, it will find ways to make you weaker. It will paralyze your body and fog your mind. But if you tell it with burning, obsessive, repetitive conviction that you are a builder, that you are a commander, that you are the architect of your destiny, it will begin to build through you. You decide the material. You decide what it builds. Let us now speak the affirmations of this self-rebuilding. Speak them aloud. Speak them slowly. Speak them with the spirit of command. I was not made for weakness. I was not born to doubt. I am what I decide to become. Each day, I rebuild with purpose, not by chance. If the world calls you a failure, let it. If your past whispers shame, let it, but do not answer. You are not obligated to agree with voices that have never built anything. You are not required to debate the echoes of your former self. You owe the world no explanation for your decision to rise. Your life will be your proof. Your action is your declaration. Your belief is your sword. The man you are meant to be is not found in books, or in the applause of the crowd, or in the permission slips of society. He is found in the mirror. He is found in the silence. Part 4. When you finally say, "This is who I am now." And when that statement is reinforced every day through the spoken word of faith, Part 3, the written aim of clarity, Part 1, and the disciplined act of initiative, Part 2, the new self emerges with unstoppable, undeniable force. Think now of Woodrow Wilson. He was once a quiet professor. No one looked at him and saw a leader of men, a commander of nations. His label given by the world was academic, but he saw something different in the sanctuary of his own mind. He believed something greater. He held the identity of a leader long before the world confirmed it. He carried himself, spoke, and acted with the authority of that identity. And because he projected that identity with such unwavering conviction, the world eventually had no choice but to reflect it. This is the law. The world reflects what the individual projects with conviction. You must project now. Speak this new self into the atmosphere. Affirm it into your lungs. Breathe it into your bloodstream. Let your walk reflect the man you are building. Let your voice carry the tone of someone who no longer asks, but expects. Let your presence become so aligned with belief that doubt finds no room to rest. And if you falter, you return. And if you forget, you repeat. And if the world mocks, you ignore. Because you are not building for them. You are building for the future. The man who rebuilds himself does not need applause. He needs accuracy. And accuracy begins by speaking only that which supports your vision. This rebuilt identity, this new man, is the one who can withstand the next challenge. For the world, seeing you rise, will not simply step aside. It will try to pull you back with its greatest weapon, distraction. But the man who knows who he is, the man who has been rebuilt on a foundation of purpose, cannot be easily distracted. He has work to do. Let us close this part by saying together, one final time, as a command to the universe and a law to your subconscious. I now rebuild the man I was meant to be. I am not what they said. I am what I decide. My repetition is my transformation. Now, let us move forward with this new identity and face the enemy of our attention. You have been told that you lack discipline. You have been told, perhaps by others, perhaps by the echo of your own past failures, that you are lazy, that you are weak, that you simply do not want it badly enough. I am here today to burn that lie from your mind. I am here to give you the true diagnosis. And in that truth, you will find your power. You are not weak. You are not lazy. You are distracted. That is all. And distraction, unlike an inherent weakness, is not a permanent state of being. It is an external enemy. And distraction can be, and will be, destroyed by decision. It is not your nature that has failed you. It is your focus that has been stolen. The world today, more than ever before in human history, is a machine designed for one purpose: to rob you of your clarity. It is an engine of noise. It offers you urgency, but no direction. It pushes you to respond, but never to reflect. It flashes 1,000 lights before your eyes, begging for your attention. And if you are not ruthless in protecting your mind, your most precious tool, the tool you clarified in Part 1 and rebuilt in Part V, becomes dull. Your mind becomes split between too many things, pulled by 1,000 invisible ropes you never consented to tie. You do not need more motivation. You need control of your attention. That is the key. That is the dividing line in every single man or woman of achievement. Look at the titans of industry whose lives I have studied. Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Edison. You will find this one. Inescapable common trait. The ability to think upon one thing, and one thing only, until that thing is done, not multitasking, not seeking entertainment, not checking the world's opinion, but holding their attention like a sword, steady and unmoved, until it cuts through the obstacle. Let me remind you of Henry Ford. They called him obsessed. They called him a fanatic. They said his ideas were simple-minded, but while others scattered their thoughts, trying to build a dozen different types of vehicles, trying to appeal to a dozen different markets, Ford fixed his mind on one single, definite aim: to produce a motor car for the masses. He did not waver. He did not check the world's opinion in the morning paper. He focused. He focused on that one aim until he perfected the assembly line. He focused so intently that he famously declared his customers could have any color they wanted, as long as it was black. Was this a lack of creativity? No. This was the pinnacle of consecrated attention. He understood that to divide his focus, even on something as simple as paint color, was to divide his power. And because of that ruthless, obsessive, magnificent focus, he created an empire and revolutionized the world. What the world calls obsession, I call consecrated attention. And you, the man you are rebuilding, you must now develop it. You must refuse to be divided. You must destroy the modern idea that you must know everything, be everywhere, and respond to everyone. You are not obligated to obey distraction. You are commanded by your own definite chief aim to build, and building, true building, requires your full, undivided power. Say this now, and feel the power of this decision. I direct my thought. I do not drift. Speak it again, louder, until it silences the noise in your own head. I direct my thought. I do not drift. The man who drifts, as we discussed in our study of silence, never meant to drift. He never woke up and said, "Today, I will surrender my destiny." He simply failed to decide where his mind would go. He let the world choose for him. He let the most urgent, loudest noise dictate his actions. But the man who decides, the man who truly decides where to place his attention, becomes unstoppable. Distraction is a thief. It is the most cunning thief in existence. It does not steal your furniture. It steals your future. It steals your time. In 5-minute increments, it steals your clarity. By splintering your purpose, it steals your power. By diffusing it, imagine your mind is a great lens, a magnifying glass. When you focus the power of the sun through that lens onto a single, unmoving point, you create a beam of such intensity it can burn through steel. That is your controlled attention. But the distracted mind is a lens that is constantly shaking, constantly moving, scattering that same sunlight into a weak, harmless, ineffective patch of light. The power is the same. The focus is what determines the result. Distraction whispers to you, "This is urgent." It whispers, "This is an emergency." It trains you to respond to the bell, like Pavlov's dog. But it is robbing you of what is important. And the longer you obey it, the more it rewires your mind to chase noise instead of depth. It conditions you for failure. But just as a body can be trained, so too can the mind. And you, the rebuilt man, you must now become its trainer. Do not ask, "How do I stop being distracted?" That is the wrong question. That is focusing on the negative. Ask instead, "What is worthy of my attention?" For when a man is truly pulled toward a definite aim, when that aim burns within him, as we cultivated with our faith, distraction loses its power. When you truly desire something, when it is the first thing you think of in the morning and the last thing you think of at night, you will silence the world to pursue it. You will not need to be forced to focus. You will be pulled by the gravity of your own purpose. That is the mark of a definite man. The antidote to distraction is not trying harder. The antidote to distraction is a desire that burns hotter than the noise. This is why the work we did in Part 1, establishing that definite chief aim, was so crucial. That aim is your North Star. Without it, any direction feels right. But with it, any direction that is not north is instantly recognizable as a distraction. Let us now commit to the daily attention training. This is the gymnasium for your new mind. Each morning, after you have completed your ritual of faith from part 3, after you have spoken your aim aloud, you will write that aim down. You will visualize it. And then, for the next hour, you will dedicate yourself to one single task that moves you toward that aim. Only that. For 1 hour, no phone, no email, no other tabs, no excuse. Your mind will fight you. The old, distracted identity will scream for its fix of noise. It will invent emergencies. It will tell you this is boring. It will beg you to just check one thing, and every time it wavers, you will gently, but firmly, return. Every time the noise rises, you will return. Every time doubt creeps in, you will return. You will train the mind, as you would train a wild horse, until it obeys without question. And in the evening, you will reflect. You will ask yourself, today, did I direct my attention, or did I allow it to drift? Did I obey my purpose, or did I obey the noise? If you drifted, forgive yourself, but do not excuse it. Record it, confront it, and return to training the next morning with greater resolve. Because the world belongs not to the brilliant, but to the focused. The world belongs not to the overwhelmed, but to the deliberate. The world belongs not to the man who does everything, but to the man who does the one thing that matters. Affirm this now. I am disciplined in mind. I do not chase noise. I train my attention to build my destiny. This is how great men live. They do not concern themselves with the opinions of 100 men. They build with the thought of one, held firm and clear in the mind until it becomes form. Do not let the world train you to be mediocre. It will fill your day with empty tasks, shallow pleasures, and low-level thinking if you let it. It wants you to be a consumer, not a creator. It wants you to be a reactor, not an actor. But if you will rise each day with a definite intention, if you will repeat that intention until it governs your mind, and if you will act only in alignment with that vision, you will begin to build a mind the world cannot shake. You are not weak. Say it again. Feel the truth of it. I am not weak. I have simply been distracted, and today, I take my power back. When you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your life. For nothing moves without thought. No wealth is made. No invention is born. No victory is won without the full, undivided, consecrated force of attention brought to bear on a single, definite purpose. Let me be perfectly clear. You do not need more time. You need fewer distractions. You do not need more talent. You need tighter focus. You do not need more advice. You need more obedience to your own purpose. That is what separates the man who builds from the man who merely waits. Do you know why most men fail? We have touched on this. Not because they lack the will to begin, but because their attention has been so splintered, so shattered into 1,000 pieces by the world's demands, that they no longer remember what they are building. They forget their why. And when a man forgets his purpose, he becomes prey to every trend, every critic, and every doubt. But the man who returns to his purpose daily, the man who trains his attention daily, he becomes unbreakable. He is the man we rebuilt in part 5. And this controlled attention, is his shield. This is the skill that protects the new identity. Let me now give you the weapon. It is controlled attention. Use it each day. Defend it like a fortress. Practice it like an art. Study the thoughts you permit. Eliminate what does not serve. And over time, your thoughts will obey. This is how self-mastery begins. Not with raw power, but with precision. This is the discipline that allows you to take the final step. It is this focused mind that becomes the gateway to the last, greatest power of all, the power of infinite intelligence. So let us say it together. I direct my thought. I do not drift. I am disciplined in mind. I return to purpose daily. My attention serves only one master, my definite chief aim. These are not words. These are your weapons. Use them daily. Use them repeatedly. Use them until your mind becomes a razor-sharp servant of your destiny. And no voice, no screen, no interruption can pull you from your path. Let us move forward now with this new control into the realm of infinite power. The world has taught you to rely only on what can be seen, what can be touched, what can be measured. It has trained you to be a creature of the five senses, to believe only in the facts that are presented to you. But I am here today, at the final step of our journey, to show you a deeper law, a spiritual law, one that does not operate by the senses, but by the mind's inner, supreme authority. Your success, your wealth, your transformation, all of it will rise, not from what is outside of you, but from what is already within you. We have done the work. We have built the foundation. In part 1, you forged your definite chief aim, your beacon of clarity in the world's confusion. In part 2, you declared your self-rescue, igniting the engine of personal initiative. In part 3, you manufactured the fuel of unshakable faith through the science of autosuggestion. In part 4, you built the sanctuary of strategic silence, learning to tune out the world's noise and listen to the guiding voice within. In part 5, you began the great work of rebuilding the magnificent self you were before the world lied to you. And in part 6, you seized the shield of controlled attention, learning to focus your power rather than scatter it. You have built a magnificent, intricate, and powerful machine. Now, in this final chapter, I will show you how to turn it on. I will show you how to connect it to the main power source. Your mind, the mind you have clarified, focused, and rebuilt, is not a mere container of thoughts. It is not just a calculator of logic. Your mind is the gateway to infinite intelligence. It is the connecting link, the unseen force that surrounds you, the ether from which all things are created, the source of all energy and all ideas. This force is not distant. It is not something to be begged or pleaded with. It is a force that waits on your call, and it responds to the exact degree that your belief becomes definite. When your mind is aligned with purpose, when your belief is fused with emotion, when your desire is repeated with faith, there is no limit to what may be done through you. I have told you plainly in my writings. The subconscious mind is the connecting link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. This is not a poetic sentence. This is a mechanical truth. This is the secret of all power. You are not a separate being, struggling alone. You are a transmitter. With your focused mind, you broadcast your belief, and life, the universe, infinite intelligence, echoes back results that match the signal. But this signal, as we have learned, must be clear. It must be consistent, and it must be charged with emotion. If your thoughts waver, if you allow the drift we discussed in part 6, the signal is lost. If your belief is half-hearted, as we defeated in part 3, the message is scrambled. If your emotions contradict your aim, if you speak faith but feel fear, the subconscious becomes confused, and infinite intelligence remains silent. It does not respond to doubt. It obeys definiteness. Let me give you the formula for this divine transmutation. It is this: emotion plus thought plus repetition equals spiritual transmutation. This is the alchemy of the mind. This is the process by which your invisible belief, your definite chief aim, becomes a visible, tangible result. You do not wait for a sign. You are the sign. You do not beg the universe for a miracle. You are the miracle. If you would only believe long enough, deeply enough, and act powerfully enough, consider the man Mahatma Gandhi. He had no army. He had no wealth. He held no political office. By every measure of the world's facts, He was powerless, but he possessed one power that surpassed all others. He had a definite chief aim, and he believed in it with such intensity, such spiritual certainty, that he became the living embodiment of a movement. His mind was so perfectly aligned with his purpose, his faith so absolute, that he became a spiritual magnet. What Gandhi proved is what I teach. The man whose mind is aligned with infinite intelligence does not need worldly credentials. He needs only conviction. He needs repetition. He needs emotion. He needs vision. And once the subconscious mind accepts that message, nothing in the world can stand in the way of its fulfillment. Say this now. I train my mind. I direct my power. My mind is the link to the power that cannot fail. You are no longer the victim of moods. You are no longer tossed by the winds of doubt. You are now the master of the mechanism. You are the operator of the power station. And if you will train that mechanism, every desire properly aligned, every aim held in focused, faithful attention, must become reality. You cannot think one way and believe another. You cannot desire boldly and speak fearfully. You must be consistent. You must speak what you intend. You must think what you desire. You must feel what you are building. Your mind is always listening. The subconscious is always recording, and it never forgets what is said with emotion. Do not let the world pollute your channel. Do not allow critics, news, or gossip to break your connection to infinite intelligence. Withdraw each day into the silence you have cultivated. Speak your chief aim aloud. Affirm your belief. Visualize its completion. Feel it as real. This is not fantasy. This is spiritual engineering. And what happens when doubt arises? You repeat your belief. When fear stirs, you speak your aim. When fatigue presses in, you rise and act as if the goal were already yours. This is the habit of faith. This is the way of those who are no longer swayed by the senses, but live by inner authority. Remember, your subconscious mind cannot reject a command that is repeated with faith and emotion long enough. It will build. It will shape. It will open doors. It will nudge circumstances. And if you will persist, it will even override the so-called facts. For faith is not blind. It is the seeing of the unseen. You are not waiting on power. Power is waiting on you. You are not empty. You are untapped. The only thing required is belief without retreat, decision without delay, affirmation without contradiction. And through that path, you will awaken a force within you greater than you have ever known. Say again now. My mind is the gateway to infinite power. I think in harmony with my chief aim. I do not waver. I do not drift. I do not delay. I believe, and therefore I receive. You are becoming more than a man of flesh. You are becoming a man of thought, a man of belief, a man whose very mental discipline is a command to the universe. Others may speak louder, but they do not think deeper. And the world is shaped not by noise, but by mental direction. From this point forward, you are not alone. Infinite intelligence walks with the man who walks with definiteness. It does not favor the crowd. It favors the committed. And your mind is the altar on which that commitment is forged. Keep it pure. Keep it focused. Keep it trained. And your power shall be unlimited. This power, this connection, is what allows you to do the greatest work you will ever do. It is the work of rebuilding yourself, as we discussed in part 5. But this time, it is about making that new self permanent. This is the final phase. We are not just building an identity, we are building an identity that cannot be broken. This is the final law. The world cannot break what it did not build. If you construct yourself with vision, with repetition, and with decision, then no opinion, no failure, no voice can undo the man you have become. Let us be precise. Identity is not something you are born with. Identity is constructed. It is formed by what you say, what you think, and what you act upon, day after day. If you speak weakness, you build a weak identity. If you think defeat, you build an identity of retreat. But if you speak strength, if you think victory, and if you act with belief, then no force in this world can shatter that foundation. You are not rebuilding self-esteem. Self-esteem is a fragile thing. It rises and falls with applause, with the day's successes or failures. You are building a spiritual identity, an identity rooted in principle, an identity reinforced by faith, an identity sustained by purpose. This identity does not depend on validation. It does not shift with the opinions of men. It does not crumble under pressure. It grows stronger when tested. It grows clearer under fire. And it grows unshakable through repetition. Repeat this now. I am built on purpose, not permission. Say it again. I am not what I feel. I am what I decide. These are not words. These are bricks. Each time you affirm the truth of who you have chosen to become, you are building the walls of a mind that cannot be invaded. Think again of Woodrow Wilson. He saw himself not as he was, but as he would be, and he walked in that identity with such certainty that the world had to recognize him. That is what you must do now. Walk as the man you have decided to become. Speak as him. Think as him. Move as him. Dress as him. Sit as him. Rise as him. And live as if the goal were already fulfilled. For when the subconscious mind accepts this identity, the body follows, the circumstances obey, and life itself reorganizes to make it so. This principle is known as cosmic habit force. It is the law by which repeated thought and behavior become fixed. Nature uses this law. It forces the planets to move in the same orbit. It forces the seasons to follow in the same order. It creates habits for all living things. You can, through these principles, harness this same universal law. You can force success to become your habit. If you make success your habit, thinking it, feeling it, affirming it, and acting it, then success will become as natural to you as breathing. It will no longer be an effort. It will be your identity. But this identity is not forged in a moment. It is built in silence. It is built in repetition. It is built in daily declaration. Each day you wake, you must repeat your aim. Each night you sleep, you must review your victories. Each time doubt rises, you must answer it, not with panic, but with posture, with the calm, certain posture of the man who knows the outcome. This is who I am. Now, let me give you the final command. This is the summation of all we have learned. Write who you intend to be. Your definite chief aim. Read it every morning and every night. Not when you feel like it. Not when it is convenient. Every day, without fail. Speak it aloud. Let your ears hear the truth. Let your body feel the rhythm. Let your subconscious mind accept the words until it no longer questions them, until they become law. This is not for the weak. This is not for those who seek applause. This is for the man who is ready to rise with no audience, to build with no applause, to speak with no echo, until the echo returns louder than ever. Because the world cannot deny the man who refuses to be denied. You are now that man. And if you are not yet, then you are on the path to becoming him. And that alone is enough. So long as you persist, so long as you do not look back, so long as you return each day to the inner altar of your mind and recommit to the new self, let us now affirm, with the full power of all we have learned, I am what I have decided to become. I act as if nothing is impossible, because nothing is when I believe. I do not need the world's permission. I have already chosen myself. You are no longer seeking belief. You are practicing it. You are no longer drifting. You are directing. You are no longer wishing. You are working. And every step you take in obedience to your definite chief aim is building a new man. A man so certain, so disciplined, so spiritually rooted that no force may bend him. The world may scream, let it. You now whisper to yourself a greater truth each day, until your voice becomes stronger than theirs, until your thoughts become deeper than their doubts, until your belief becomes brighter than their logic, until your life becomes the proof, the undeniable, living proof, that what you believed was always possible. You have listened to this message, not as entertainment, but as instruction. You have walked with me through every law, every principle, every command. Now the time for listening is over. Now is the time to act. Write your aim. Speak it daily. Discipline your mind. Rebuild your identity. And live as if the outcome is already yours. This is the end of the speech, but it is the beginning of your transformation. Listen to this again, not once, but until belief becomes your nature, until every word becomes your command, until every sentence becomes your identity, until you no longer need to hear this again, because you have become it. And now, say it with me one last time. I believe. I act. I am. Nothing is impossible. You are no longer seeking belief. You are practicing it. You are no longer drifting. You are directing. You are no longer wishing. You are working. You have walked with me through the entire architecture of belief. You are not the same person who began this journey. The man or woman who started this message was perhaps a drifter, a person of confusion, a servant to the world's noise. But you who are listening now, you who have come to the end, you are the architect. You are the builder. You are the commander. Let us, for a moment, stand and look at the magnificent structure we have built together. Do not look at it as a lesson you have learned. Look at it as a fortress you now inhabit. We began in the fog, in the deafening confusion of the world. We began with part 1, where the world shouted 1,000 directions and you could not hear yourself think. And what did we do? We did not fight the noise. We silenced it. We made the decision to build a fortress of mental clarity, and upon its cornerstone, we carved our definite chief aim. You are no longer a man without a purpose. You now possess the blueprint. But a blueprint, we learned, is a tragedy if it remains on paper. So in part 2, we confronted the great lie. The lie that you must wait for a rescuer, for permission, for a sign. We shattered that illusion. You stood up, looked in the mirror, and declared, I am my own rescue. You ignited the engine of personal initiative. You are no longer a passenger. You are the driver. An engine, however, needs fuel. The most powerful act of initiative will stall and die if it is not fed. So in part 3, we entered the laboratory of the mind. We stopped hoping for faith and we began to manufacture it. You learned the science of autosuggestion. You learned that by repeating your aim, by mixing it with emotion, by commanding your subconscious mind, you could create a fuel, a burning, unshakable faith that is more powerful than any fact the world can show you. You are no longer a doubter. You are a creator of belief. This belief, this new, powerful, and potent fuel, we knew, was volatile. It was precious. It could not be exposed to the contamination of the world's fear. So, in part 4, we built the sanctuary. We learned the discipline of strategic silence. We learned to turn down the volume of the world, not to hide, but to prepare. We learned to tune our minds to the one frequency that matters, the quiet, guiding whisper of infinite intelligence. You are no longer a reactor to the world's noise. You are a receiver of divine guidance. And in that quiet, protected sanctuary, with your blueprint, your engine, and your fuel, the great work began. In part 5, we confronted the lies of the past. We looked at the identity the world had given you, the identity of failure, of average, of not good enough, and we tore it down. And from the indestructible steel of your own purpose, we began to rebuild the magnificent, fearless giant you were born to be. You are no longer a product of your past. You are the builder of your identity. But we knew this new identity, this new builder, would be tested. The moment you stepped out of your sanctuary, the world would attack, not with force, but with its most insidious weapon. In part 6, we named that enemy distraction. You learned the profound truth that you are not weak. You have only been distracted. You forged the shield of controlled attention. You learned to hold your mind like a sword, fixed on your target, refusing to be pulled away by the trivial, the urgent, or the meaningless. You are no longer a scattered force. You are a focused, irresistible power. And finally, we connected it all. In our last chapter, we plugged this entire magnificent machine into the main power source. You learned that your mind, this focused, rebuilt, and faithful mind, is the gateway to infinite intelligence. You learned the final formula for transmutation. You are no longer a finite being, struggling alone. You are a transmitter, a channel, and a partner with the very force that creates worlds. And with that power, you cemented the final identity, an identity built by you, defined by you, and therefore, an identity that the world cannot break. Look at what you have done. Look at who you have become. You are not the man who wanders. You are the man who builds. You are not the man who hopes. You are the man who decides. You are not the man who listens to the crowd. You are the man who listens to the quiet voice of truth. And every step you take, in obedience to your definite chief aim, is building this new man. A man so certain, so disciplined, so spiritually rooted, that no force on this earth may bend him. The world may scream, let it. You now possess a greater truth. You now whisper to yourself this truth each day, in your sanctuary of silence, until your voice becomes stronger than theirs, until your thoughts become deeper than their doubts, until your belief becomes brighter than their logic, until your life, your very existence, becomes the living, breathing proof that what you believed was always possible. You have listened to this entire message. You did not drift. You did not multitask. You gave your future the respect it deserves. You listened not as if this were entertainment, but as if it were instruction. You have walked with me through every law, every principle, every command. You have absorbed the complete architecture. Now, the time for listening is over. Now is the time to act. This speech is not an artifact to be admired. It is a tool to be used. It is a sword to be wielded. The transformation is not in the hearing. It is in the doing. Your journey does not end here. It begins here. Here is your final command. Take the definite chief aim you forged in part 1. Take the written statement of faith you created in part 3. Take the new identity you claimed in part 5. And now, you will live them. Write your aim. Speak it daily. Discipline your mind. Rebuild your identity. And live, from this moment forward, as if the outcome is already yours. This is the end of the speech, but it is the beginning of your new life. And I command you, listen to this message again. Do not listen to it just once. Listen to it until belief becomes your nature. Listen to it until every word becomes your command. Listen to it until every sentence becomes your identity. Listen to it until you no longer need to hear this message again, because you have become it. When the world's noise tries to seep back in, you will return to part 1. When you feel yourself waiting for permission, you will return to part 2. When your faith wavers, you will return to part 3. When your mind is in chaos, you will return to part 4. When your old, false identity tries to return, you will return to part 5. When you find yourself scattered and distracted, you will return to part 6. And when you are ready to command your power, you will return to the end. This is your manual. This is your training ground. And now, your final act of decision for today. Your first act as the new builder. If you have decided, in this moment, that you are no longer a drifter, that you will no longer be a servant to confusion, that you are, from this day forward, the architect of your destiny, then you must make a declaration. This channel is not a place for drifters. It is a mastermind for builders. It is a sanctuary for those who are committed to this work. Therefore, your act of subscribing to this channel is not a casual click. It is your signature. It is your contract with your future self. It is your public declaration that you have joined the ranks of those who build. Do it now, not as a request, but as an act of alignment with your new identity. And finally, as your first command. As your first act of autosuggestion made public, go to the comment section below and write 3 words. 3 words that seal this commitment. 3 words that serve as a notice to the world and a command to your subconscious. Write these 3 words. I have decided. Let the world see your certainty. Let your own eyes see your decision reflected back at you. This is your first brick. The journey has been long, but the work is glorious. You are no longer seeking. You are becoming. You are no longer lost. You are on the path. You are no longer weak. You are the architect. Now, say it with me one last time. With the full force of the identity you have built today, I believe. I act. I am. Nothing is impossible. Now, go and build your empire. And now, your final act of decision for today. Your first act as the new builder. If you have decided, in this moment, that you are no longer a drifter, that you will no longer be a servant to confusion, that you are, from this day forward, the architect of your destiny, then you must make a declaration. This channel is not a place for drifters. It is a mastermind for builders. It is a sanctuary for those who are committed to this work. Therefore, your act of subscribing to this channel is not a casual click. It is your signature. It is your contract with your future self. It is your public declaration that you have joined the ranks of those who build. Do it now, not as a request, but as an act of alignment with your new identity. And finally, as your first command, as your first act of autosuggestion made public, go to the comment section below and write 3 words. 3 words that seal this commitment. 3 words that serve as a notice to the world and a command to your subconscious. Write these 3 words. I have decided.